What's up, everybody? My name is Black. Welcome to part 5 of my Team Fortress 2 Unusual Trading Guide. I think you guys know the intro by now, so let's get right to the video. This episode's one I've been waiting to make for a while now, and it's probably one that you guys will be excited about too. Today, we're finally getting into what everyone wants to do when they start trading. This, of course, is profiting. I'm going to be talking for the next few episodes on how to profit in different aspects of trading. Going along with profiting off of trades is being able to accurately gauge the price of unusual hats, which is what I'm going to go into in this episode. In the past few episodes, I've been kind of vague about pricing and such, but now all filters are off. Strap yourselves in. No, seriously, this could get bumpy. Anyway, so, most unusual hats are worth somewhere from half a bud to something like 10 buds. Anything above that mark is generally considered God tier and is traded for much less often than hats underneath that mark. The majority of unusuals, surprisingly though, aren't that expensive, so hats that are 10 buds and up are generally only bought and sold by the highest tier traders. All of the unusual traders that can't really afford those kind of hats, which is the majority by far, are stuck with trading for hats that don't really look the best. But never fear, because trading up isn't as hard as it seems. All it takes is some acquired strategy and pricing knowledge. Before you make any kind of unusual trade, you have to take a first step, being able to price the other person's unusual. When you're offered someone's unusual, it's almost always best to ask if the person has a price that they want for it. Take this number and make note of it somewhere. After that, tell the person to wait a minute and search some trading sites for what other people want for that same hat. Personally, I use TF2 Outpost the most since it has the largest user base out of the main popular trading sites. On TF2 Outpost specifically, you can go into the Search tab after signing in through Steam, and then you can search for the hat, and go into the Quality tabs and search for the unusual version with that specific effect. The sellers of that hat will all be visible. Now, just do a quick check in each trade's notes and comments to see a couple of things. First, the hat's buyout or B-O price, and 2, the offers that people have put on the hat, if any. Keep in mind how the offers and buyout prices compare to what this other trader is saying. After that, for a little bit of extra information, you can check a pricing website like backpack.tf for a value of the hat. Some people really don't like this specific website because they say it tends to undervalue some unusuals, but I've found that for hats worth up to 10 earbuds, which again is most hats, it's usually pretty accurate. You can take note of this price too, and compare it to what the person said it was worth. Backpack.tf can also be used as a baseline to price whatever it is that you already have, and you can compare their hat and yours side by side pretty easily. If this other trader is overpricing, according to the information you gathered, then you can just say no to them. And you can even cite some of that info you found to help your argument. There's no guilt in that. It's perfectly fine. Once you do, they'll either say goodbye and you can go on your merry way, nothing lost, or maybe they'll try lowering their price a bit to try to entice you into buying their hat. Don't fall for this, because most of the time they don't lower it enough to make it a good deal. Alternatively, if the price they say is lower than what the other sources say, or if the values you found for your own hat are lower than the ones that you found for their hat, you might just be on your way to a profit. Cha-ching! Score, right? Well, not necessarily. A lot of people think that any unusual that you buy for less than it's worth, according to backpack.tf or TF2 Outpost pricing, will make you a profit. This can definitely be true in some cases, but in others it can be completely dead wrong. This is because you need to take into account the future value of the unusual as well, not just what it's worth right now. This means supply and demand have to be taken into account. Oh boy, economics. But seriously. Let's say supply of an unusual is how many of them are on the market, and I'll just say demand is how much people want that specific hat. There's a bit more to it than that, but I'll just say that for simplicity's sake. If the supply and demand of a certain hat are around the same, like for example if it's some kind of second gen or lower tier first gen unusual that there are a lot of, then the price of it will generally be stable. Or if it's a really low tier hat that's really accessible as a starting unusual, like most nuts and bolts ones are, then it will also have a stable low price. If supply is higher than demand, as is the case with the summer effect unusuals right now, then there aren't enough people that want to buy the unusuals, and so they sit on the market for basically forever. Lack of sales for these hats also leads to people overpricing the hats because they don't know what they've sold for recently. This in turn encourages sellers of these kind of hats to be desperate for sales, and so they'll sell their hat for less than what the backpack.tf value is just to get rid of it. This eventually lowers the backpack.tf value for that hat, and means, for example, if you buy some kind of common summer effect unusual for, let's say, you buy it for a bud. There are tons of them on the market, but the backpack.tf value for it is like 1.2 to 1.5 buds. So you got a 0.2 to 0.5 bud profit, right? Well, not really. What can happen then is after you make that trade, let's say 5 people that have that same hat sell theirs for 15 keys, because they can't sell them for a bud. There's just too much competition, and there aren't enough buyers. Then the new most common price will be that 15 keys, and you will have lost profit with that trade. A lot of people make this mistake. On the other hand, when supply is smaller than demand, as is the case with a lot of high-tier first-gen unusuals, then a lot of people are competing for a chance to buy a select small number of hats, and so people will have to outbid each other in order to get the hats. This means that the price will raise over time because people keep beating each other's sales. To summarize this whole spiel here, you have to look at what an unusual hat's supply and demand are, or its future value, to determine if the price will go up, go down, or stay the same in the future. If I were to put this whole rant into a TLDR version, or a summary for those of you who don't speak internet, it would probably go something like this. Speculation about the future of an unusual, along with the current backpack price and outpost market value, are all things that should be taken into account when pricing an unusual. If you know these things for both your side of a trade and the other side of a trade, then you're in a great position for being able to profit, whether it be immediately or in the long run. Alright, that'll do it for this episode, guys. This was a bit of a meatier one, but I'm hoping it helped you guys out. If you liked it, hit that like button, that means a lot to me. And if you like what I'm doing here, or if you want to be notified of my future videos, hit subscribe. Stay awesome, guys. I'll see you next time.